Uber Eats drivers before the delivery.
All right, we can go ahead and get started. We'll see if people trickle in.
Bruins just scored. If anybody cares.
I just started streaming if you guys want to tune into the stream.
Bro, do you not know what dark mode is? That's crazy. All right, on the top right, you see where it says A?
Old school. I like it.
No, I'm not clicking on that. Not clicking
Bro,
on that.
oh. no, just
malware.
put on dark mode.
Trying
Put
to
on
dox
fucking
his
dark mode,
email
bro.
and shit? Jesus.
Nope. Nope.
I have your email.
You have mine?
I mean-
yeah, that's right. You do probably.
I also have
Don't
your
point
email.
out if you can spot my identity somewhere. Don't point it out. All right.
We know his first name starts with an A, though. We're getting closer to the truth.
It doesn't actually.
It actually
definitely
doesn't. Yeah.
It actually does
It'd
not.
just be whatever
No.
he put for the email. Yeah.
That
name is
that
Zeus.
A corresponds
herring.
to a I don't know, an email I set up when I was like 9 years old or something.
Oh, now we need to know what it is because I bet it's super cringe.
Yeah.
Possum 19.
It is actually fairly embarrassing, and I should probably change it. Okay, Cthulhu. Fairly dangerous fight. I think probably the most dangerous part is the beginning in phase 1, and then it gets progressively safer as we move forward. So one of the main things that Cthulhu does in phase 1 is called I-beam. If you've seen clips of entire guilds dying to Cthulhu, that's the ability. It's I-beam. So basically what it does is it does 3,000 nature damage ish in that range, and then it will chain to anyone who's within 10 yards of the initial target. And every time it chains, the damage increases. I've read it doubles. It might be less than doubling, but essentially if you get to 3 chains, very bad. 4 chains, almost certainly lethal. And then after that, everyone's just super dead. So the walk-in is one of the most dangerous parts, and what we want to do is basically we'll have me and Thas walk in together. So it's basically he'll be behind me, and I'll make sure to build threat. But me and him going together, we'll separate eventually to make sure we're not chaining each other. And then once we're sufficiently far into the room, everyone else is running in. While we're running in, we're not using any abilities. The goal is that only me and Thas are on the threat table and everyone else is not. So that means any of the things that you do at the start of a fight that are kind of like muscle memory, you gotta really plug into that and not do it. So that means no blood rage, no bubbles from priests, no anything, no abilities. All you're doing is walking. We'll start mounted. There's a good chance you'll get dismounted at some point. You're not blinking, you're not sprinting, you're not doing anything. You're just walking to your assigned position. We'll go over that in a bit. But the most important thing is no abilities at all, because if you use an ability and you end up on the threat table while the spacing is still terrible on the initial walk in, you could wipe the entire guild, except for me and Thas. We'll be safe, but everyone else will die. A couple points of detail here. So because people will have MP5 and HP5 buffs ticking, we want to make sure everyone's full on mana and health before we start. So you need to be 100% full resources. We're going to call for bubbles on me and Thas before we go in, but we're not going to go in until everyone's 100% full mana. There's a chance that a tentacle spawns and knocks the raid back on the way in. Because of that, we want no thorns effects or buffs present in the rain at all. So no thorns, no fire shield, no lightning shield from shamans, nothing that's going to put damage back at someone that hits you. I can't remember what the priest one is called. Someone help me out.
Touch of weakness.
Or...
No touch of weakness, none of that. Yeah, that.
Priest of Shadow Guard, but it does specifically say no threat.
Don't do it.
Just nothing. Hunters are just missing pets. We'll all pre-pop GSPPs and GMPPs. But this is an example of what we're hoping for. But basically, most of these videos show just the tank going alone. It'll be me and Thas. So it'll be slightly different. But I'll go. Me and Thas will go. I will call for when I want everyone else to follow. That's the point you move in. You do not follow me right away. Let's see how this goes. So the tank's going in. They were maybe a little conservative, but it was really clean. And they got to stay on their mounts almost halfway to their assignments.
In positions, go. It's gonna happen soon. Be ready.
That's it. That's a good example. You can actually see a tentacle spawned at some point. It looks like after they were already past it. Those will knock you back and dismount you. So I have a couple examples of like when things go wrong here. So here's an example of being too close to the tank.
Tywin goes on 2, everyone else goes on 0.
I'm going in.
So the tank goes in, and you'll notice I'm going to pause it. There's a dude. Can you guys see my mouse?
Yes. Yeah.
There's a dude. It's kind of hard to tell, but there's a dude that ends up getting too close. It's 10 yards. So they go way too soon. It's probably that dude. Let me back it up.
Go, go, go.
Way too close. Way, way, way too close. It's this guy. He kills the guild. He gets chain lightninged, and then everybody's dead. Look, the guy turns around, and his entire guild's dead. So really important that you don't go too early, but also if I, as the person running in, get dismounted, you need to like just stop running. If I call like, hey, come in, I get dismounted early, everyone else is still mounted, like stay away from me. You need to stay off the threat table and stay well clear of me.
Getting all your daily nutrients.
Here's an example of a tentacle spawning and knocking people off. This is going to be a hard one because people are going to take damage and get dismounted. And like priests, especially, like your initial instinct is going to be bubble and renew. You got to not do that. Rogues are going to want to sprint after this happens. None of that can happen.
Don't get close to skull as well.
So the worm or the tentacle spawns. You can't really see it. Oh, there it is. But everyone gets knocked back. Notice this guy. Someone casted renew on him. I don't know why it's so grainy because my computer sucks, but someone casted a renew. It wasn't him, but whoever did that could have like fried their entire guild. You should probably plan on getting knocked back and dismounted by a tentacle, knowing it's going to happen, and you just run to your assigned location. You don't overreact. You don't get scared. You don't sprint. You don't blink. You don't heal. You just eat the knockback and walk to where you're supposed to be.
Running here, getting in the back.
Also, in that clip, you can see a warrior engage that tentacle. He auto-attacked it, generated rage. Generating a resource creates threat. That also puts him on the threat table with Cthulhu.
So ideally,
This is
you
the
need to
first
ignore the
one.
tentacle.
Yeah, you just walk by it. Who
You
cares?
just walk. So those tentacles, we'll kind of talk through those in detail in a bit here, but they'll just basically submerge if no one's in melee range. So you just walk by and ignore, and then they'll pop back up once we're in position. So this is the video we just watched. I want to see if anyone can pick out. It's a test for the class. If anyone can pick out what goes wrong here. There's one guy who does something that he shouldn't.
His raid frames.
It's the red mount.
These guys generally have a very clean raid. Nope. We are doing no pets. That's not what I was talking about. It's right there. That's where you see it. Anybody see it?
Can you cast cheetah?
Okay, I didn't notice that. That's actually, don't do that either. But there's a rogue sprinting in the background on the other side. Don't do that. There he is, back there.
You see him get I-beam?
Yeah, don't sprint. There he is. Don't do that.
So I know you got a question about like pots and stuff, like troll blood pots and something like that. Can that activate it?
So you only generate threat from things like that if you don't have full resources. So we will probably call for no troll's blood. Yeah, I want to do no troll's blood. All the MP5 is fine, but like if you get hit by a worm and the troll's blood ticks, that's going to generate threat. So it's no troll's blood. I can't think of anything else that does HP5, but MP5 should be fine as long as you go in with full mana and don't cast any abilities. But yeah,
What
no
about
troll's
demon
blood.
armor?
Yeah, demon armor. Demon armor.
Does that have an HP5?
It does.
Okay, none of that nonsense either then.
I know it's a dumb question, but I assume that all the hunters will go with the pack to run to our sides, or no?
Well, you're going to start mounted, so you won't be able to have pack on. And when you get dismounted, I don't want you to turn it on. I actually don't know if pack specifically will put you on the threat table, but for the avoidance of doubt, it's like no abilities at all.
Okay.
Regardless, if you get clawed, if you get hit with the claw, you're gonna get dazed.
Maybe Aspect of the Wild on the run in for NR.
And you could pop all of this
No,
after
you don't want to.
the like.
You don't want Aspect of the Wild because that's an aura buff. And let's say that someone is on the edge of the aura, they leave, come back in. You've now applied a buff to them, and you have generated a buff. That's threat.
Do auras do that? Okay.
Okay, so we're getting in position. This is basically the finish of the entrance. So once you get in position, you're still waiting for a call from me to actually do something. So people towards the back of the room, it's going to take them longer to get there. So folks towards the front, you're just standing there for a while. Like, don't start casting abilities. We want to make sure we're all set. If you're well clear of everybody and you need to get a heal out, like, go for it. But generally, we're waiting for the call to engage the boss. Once we start fighting the boss, I-beam is present throughout. We have 45 seconds from the point that we engage the boss until dark glare starts. I'm going to come back to that. While that's ticking, tentacles are spawning. So there's two types of tentacles in phase 1. There's claw tentacles, which is what this one over here is on the top left. They melee people. If there's no one in melee range, they submerge and pop up somewhere else next to a new guy. And then there are eye tentacles. The eye tentacles all spawn in a circle, basically at the edge of this black ring, and it's a fixed spawn point. When these pop up, both types will knock you back. So I actually think this person gets knocked back. But once you have a feel for, there'll be 3 rings of assignments in terms of where people are standing. The second ring will be kind of just outside the black circle. You'll likely get knocked back by some of these eye tentacles coming back. Are popping up. Once you have a feel for where they're coming up, you can adjust your position slightly to make sure that you're not getting knocked back. But as these tentacles are popping up and knocking you around, you need to like immediately run back to your assigned spot so that you're not ruining the positioning and the spacing and creating a big risk of like a big I-beam chain. So let me see. We'll see what these tentacles do.
Do the fight. I-beam's coming out now. Small claw in 1. Kill the small claw. We have dark glare in
Most important thing in phase 1 is just to like maintain the spacing. So for the claw tentacles are going to pop up throughout phase 1. Ranged DPS are going to be prowling, killing the tentacles as they pop up because we don't want melee moving around. If you have a claw tentacle spawn next to you, if you're not wearing cloth, I want you to kind of try and tank it out a little bit, because if you move, it's just going to submerge and go knock someone else around, and the risk is not actually the damage from the claw, the little claws at least. It's being knocked around and ruining the spacing and triggering a big I-beam that chains throughout the raid. So if you're pretty tanky, you're in male, you're a hunter, just stand by that thing and let someone heal you through it while ranged DPS in the area kill it. Okay, so this is what the eye tentacles look like. Like I said, you can see this person actually gets knocked back. They all spawn in a circle on the black ring. The main thing they do is cast Mind Flay, which slows you down. Most of the encounter, that's not that big of an issue. It's very risky right before Dark Glare starts, which is what they've got going on. And it almost always syncs up where there'll be a spawn of these eye tentacles right as Dark Glare is starting. So let's talk about Dark Glare. So 45 seconds into the encounter, the boss starts this 4-second cast, where it says basically it's casting Dark Glare, and then after that it's channeling for 35 seconds a lethal beam in a line. And if you're hit in that line, you just die. You can Petri it, but the damage is like, if you're not Petried, it will kill you instantly. There's 0 chance of surviving. Once it starts to channel, it will spin slowly in 180 degrees. It could be either direction, and it's not a fixed spot in terms of where the dark glare starts. So everyone needs to be aware of, I'll be calling out, hey, dark glare, dark glare in 5, be ready. And once he starts to channel, you need to be aware of which direction the boss is facing, so you know which way to move. Because basically what we'll be doing is moving in a circle away from the dark glare. So let's see what this looks like.
So it's always going to go at the last I-beam, right? So like where
Correct.
his eye's at now is where it's always going to start.
Yeah, and so right now he's
Okay.
beginning the cast. That's what it looks like. I have another video that shows a different POV, but that's what it looks like. So everyone, again, I'll be calling it out, but everyone will be able to see that's where the dark glare is starting. It's going to be starting in this line. And so these eye tentacles cast Mind Flay, which slows you down. And if we're trying to move in a circle and stay out of the dark glare, that's not good. So Prow number 1, if you're close to, the actual pupil of Cthulhu's eye, get out of the danger area, the danger zone. But everyone else should be killing these eye tentacles as fast as possible. That's kind of priority number 1. They don't have a ton of health. They die pretty quick.
Does it always go clockwise?
No, it can
Yes.
go either direction.
I'm
No, it can
almost
go either
positive.
direction.
Sure.
It goes
I've
either
read either.
direction for sure.
I've read
either
either.
direction.
Really quick, Zeus. In that instant, those eye tentacles came up, and it looked like there were still people on the boss, like the majority of the melee that started in range of the boss with their positioning stay there.
Yeah.
Should we be getting off of the boss to kill these tentacles, or are we just leaving it deranged?
Yeah, so once he begins to cast, once he turns red, basically, he's no longer going to cast anything other than Dark Glare and channel that once he gets to it. So there's no I-beam risk at this point, the second he turns red. So you can
Okay.
step out and start killing eye tentacles right away.
You don't chase around the whole room, though. Like, kill the ones that spawn near you and then DPS the boss's melee. And range,
Sure.
need to make sure that every single one dies.
Sure. And then this is the portion where we're like popping CDs, right? Or
Correct.
no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me come back to that, though, because I want to just
Okay.
cover like positioning. So like I said, the boss, I got a little diagram. He spins 180 degrees while he's casting the dark glare. So how you need to move depends on where you are in relation to his, like the ground that he's going to cover with the dark glare. Most likely with our raid, we will push the boss into the next phase before the dark glare ends. But if we don't, what happens is he returns to his prior form and the I-beams start setting up. Or start firing off again. So we need to, we're going to plan on getting back to our original positions in terms of assignments and getting back to a safe spacing, just in case we don't push them to the next phase during the dark glare. So what everyone needs to be aware of is, okay, the dark glare starts. If the dark glare, if he's turning closer to me, that means I need to run 360 degrees around the boss and back to my original assignment. Right, in terms of where I'm supposed to stand. If I'm here and the boss is spinning away, like initially the dark glare is getting further from me, I don't need to move. I'm fine. I can just pump on the boss, because if I tried to spin with the boss, I'm going to get stuck behind the dark glare over here, right? And then it's going to end. And if we haven't pushed the boss to the next phase, I'm out of position. I'd have to run all the way over here to try and get in position and probably cause a huge I-beam chain. So once the dark glare starts, everyone needs to take note again of where they are in relation to the starting position of the dark glare and where it's moving in relation to their position. So if it's moving away from you at the start, you're probably fine. If it's moving closer, you got to go all the way around the boss. A couple other things that can happen with dark glare. So you can, well, let me just real quick. Here's a good video that shows another POV
Just
of
real
what it
quick,
looks like.
on the dark glare, the spacing, does the spacing still matter, or is...
No. The second he turns red, we're safe from a spacing perspective. Everyone's just moving in a circle. You can move in a tighter, range. You don't need to necessarily be all the way out moving in a circle. You could move. You could kind of cut the corner if you need to, as long as one, you're back in position before it ends. Again, it's a 35-second channel. Or two, we push the boss into the next phase, which is likely.
While we're talking about moving, So Cthulhu doesn't have collision, but if you get too far into his model, you'll get violently ejected and yeeted all the way to the edge of the room. So
Video
melee
game.
in particular, when you're like, oh, I need to move 180 degrees, you still need to stay out of his model. Because if you don't, like if you try to cut the corner, you might get ejected, hit a wall, and then you get blasted and die.
So this is what it looks like when the boss starts to parry or starts to cast the ability. So he turns red, and this is now the direction of the dark glare is set in terms of the starting point. So like this dude needs to get out of dodge and move. Everyone needs to have situational awareness of what's going on with the boss once the dark glare is starting, so you can know to move, and you need to be well clear of it.
That's a crazy
Like
weak aura.
this is not this is not a safe distance, and I'll show you why. Because what can happen, depending on I didn't know, but depending on how the timing works out, you can have a, let me find it, a tentacle pop up during the dark glare and knock you towards it. Okay, if somebody dies in the raid, well, either like 30 people are gonna die, but if a single person dies, there's a good chance, like betting money is this is what happens. So the dark glare starting. This dude moves out, not far enough away, right? Claw tentacle pops up, knocks him right back into the glare. So like everyone needs to be ready to petri if you're even close to where the dark glare is. Like you don't want to be within like 90 degrees of the boss in terms of like the dark glare and where it's coming out. Like these guys should be over here. I know they had kind of a shitty positioning, but you're moving quick to be 90 degrees away from the dark glare.
Question. In that moment when you get knocked back and then you are going towards the dark thing that lays it, you can petri, no, in the air, and then
Yeah,
you
petri
wouldn't
will
risk it.
save you.
You
So
should
yeah, I would
in
have
hardcore we should petri there,
petried.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty much everyone, if you can see the pupil of Cthulhu's eye while he's starting the dark glare, like you're moving out of position, but your finger is on the petri button just in case you get knocked by a tentacle. And then, like Thess mentioned, if you actually step into the body of the eye, this is what happens. You'll see a guy go absolutely flying. That guy right there. Let me back it up. Like you're so if that happens, so right now this.
Yo, somebody got a bubble on him.
Props to that healer. Right now, this is during the dark glare, so spacing's not an issue. But in theory, that could happen during phase one. And if it does, you're done. You're staying out. You're just camped out against the wall. You're not trying to run back into your initial position, like your assigned spot. You're only doing that for small knockbacks. If you end up wildly out of position for any reason, or if you end up confused, you just if I-beam is still in play, you're just going to the wall and hanging out and waiting for us to push them into the next phase.
Can I talk about one thing before we move on too far from this knockback and laser nonsense?
Yeah.
So in the previous clip he showed where that guy got knocked by the claw tentacle into the laser, something we all need to be aware of is we don't want that to happen. So if a claw tentacle pops up nowhere near the giant death laser, someone needs to be tanking it, or it'll pop back down, pop up somewhere random, and then we can get a laser knock, right? So if you see a claw tentacle pop up and it's nowhere near the laser, you run to it and give it a hug. Very important.
Because we really want to kill it, yeah, instead of it
Yeah,
going
because
down
if it doesn't have, if it can't reach anyone, it'll submerge and pop back up somewhere else, and we're just rolling the dice every single time that happens that someone dies.
So I have a question on the Dark Lair sweep. You mentioned the players that are in the range of the Dark Lair are doing a full 360-degree turn eventually back to their original position. Is that preferred rather than like both halves of the room doing 180-degree?
No, we want, just for simplicity, we want everyone to just go back to their like one position assignment that you've got to think of. So not everyone's going 360. It's just if you're basically in the path of travel of the dark glare. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, the half, right? So like like I said, if you were here where my mouse is and the dark glare started, it's gonna move this way and stop, right? So like if you were to try and do 360, you're gonna get stuck behind it and end up out of position before it ends. So we just want the half that are basically seeing the dark glare move towards them, move 360 degrees. And again, it's very likely that this won't actually matter because we'll push the boss into the next phase before the dark glare ends, and then there's no longer an I beam. But I want to, especially with DMF, it's very very likely that it's not an issue. But I want to plan just in case we're slower for whatever reason than I expect, and the dark glare ends and we continue phase one. People need to be back in position with spacing to keep the I beam safe.
This might be a dumb question. It's cut off on the yellow side of the dark layer, like the non-targeted side. That text box, what is it? What does it stay well clear of what?
Oh, just means, yeah, let me fix that. Just to, like, I
Oh,
don't like
of
if
the
you're
okay.
here,
Got
for
it.
example, like don't be like, all right, I'm in my spot, like I'm good. Like give yourself some buffer and then come back. Basically,
Got
is
it.
what that's
Got it.
intending to
It doesn't matter how tight we group with one another during this phase because
No,
as long as we're
there's
back,
nothing but the dark glare. Yeah.
right. So as long as we either phase it or are in our starting positions at the end of dark glare, we're chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I kind of missed the spacing, so I want to talk about that. So after the run in, this is I need to update this. Initially, I was thinking 8 groups because that's what I was seeing online, but it sounds like most guilds in hardcore are just doing 6 melee groups. But essentially, what we'll have is we'll have 6 melee groups on the boss in pairs of 2, stacked tightly, 10 yards away from each other. And then that's the first ring. The second ring will be standing roughly kind of where the dirt turns to tile. I'll show you what that looks like in a video in a sec. But what you'll see is people are kind of standing outside of the black smoke circle that Cthulhu puts out, but even further than that, like kind of roughly around where the dirt turns to tile. Again, the small I beams spawn on the rim of the black circle, so you don't really want to be standing right on that because you'll get knocked back as they come up. And then we'll typically have hunters and like anyone who has the best like range in the third
Fire
ring. There'll be
mages
some other
have
yeah
pretty
fire
far
mages,
range.
hunters will be in the last group. Because we're going down to 6 melee groups, there'll be some warriors that are basically either fully out or in the second ring picking up tentacles while respecting spacing. But there'll be people who won't be able to DPS the boss initially.
How important is DPS in phase one? Like, are we 0 cooldowns, right? Nothing, just like just normal rotation.
I know you want to pump because it's not like a different health pool during phase one and then during the dark glare. It's the same health pool. So whatever damage we do, like in phase one and then into the dark glare, it's all cumulative. So you're pumping. And also, this is a good point to say, like no one's main tanking Cthulhu. He's just like spinning and like I beaming people. He's not autoing anybody, so you should be able to just fully open up and blast basically.
So we're not worried about threat at all? Like
No.
Oh, cool.
You will be very worried about threat on tentacles, but for Cthulhu, you can just blast.
Open up with like if we have trinkets that are like a minute and a half, 2-minute cooldown, open up with those. Pretty much what I'm
Probably
getting
during
at.
dark
Or
glare
is there
for
big
those.
is there big cooldowns I want to save for dark
So
yeah, so we're saving Wreck and Death Wish for Dark Glare. That's when we're popping that, and then also like on use trinkets. Death Wish will probably be back up for the last phase of the fight, but yeah, all cooldowns basically once he turns orange. You're moving at the same time, so like I guess for casters, if you have a bigger, bigger distance to cover, and you're on the wrong side of the boss, you could save your cooldown. But for warriors, everyone's popping cooldowns. If you're a warrior was assigned to stand further out, you can move in and start blasting the boss while the dark glare is still going out. But like I want wreck when the eye is red, basically.
So can you go back to the dark glare picture where it sweeps half the circle?
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, if you're in the group that has to move, you're in the group that is going to get hit with dark glare, so you have to rotate away from the I beam. When dark glare ends, when you have to return to your original position, is that dangerous for them because they'd have to travel pretty far to get back to their original spot?
Yeah, they will have to go
Dangerous in
a
terms of
full 360. So it is a long way to travel.
is there I
What?
beam danger, chain lightning?
No. There's no I beam or chain lightning. All that's going on during the dark glare is the beam and that line. There's nothing else to worry about.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially the idea is that the dark glare starts, you make sure you're not in it if it would be, you're away from the pupil. And then if it's going to be sweeping through your spot, you immediately start running the 360 so that you can get back to your spot before dark glare ends, unless you're on the tail end, in case you dodge it and adjust. But the goal is that when dark glare ends, we're all close or exactly where we need to be positioned. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Ideally, we're pushing the boss in the next phase, and it won't matter. I think there's a 90% chance that that's what happens. But we want to be back in our original positions before the dark glare ends.
Does the black stuff on the ground around Cthulhu do anything?
No, it just looks scary.
Yeah, it looks super scary. Your instincts will tell you it'll kill you, but it does literally nothing.
Where was the? We gotta watch
To
this
the
nice
point, really
Planet
quick,
Fitness.
what Gain was saying. While dark glare ends, a chain beam comes out about 2 or 3 seconds immediately after dark glare ends. So if we don't push that successfully, people need to get in their spots like immediately. It's incredibly dangerous if we don't phase that, for sure.
There's still Pizza Huts?
Or I guess
Apparently.
if you are too far, you might go to the walls, Jesus, or what? If we don't
Yeah,
actually
if for some
successful finish.
reason your positioning is scuffed, you can't make it. You just run out to the wall, and camp out. Okay, this is I just wanted to show example of like what the rings look like in practice. So, by the way, I'll press play in a second here, but you'll see that this bear doesn't know where he's supposed to stand and he's running around. Absolutely cannot have that. So, like, if you don't know where to go, you just need to get out. But basically, like I said, there's the melee ring, and then there's this ring kind of right around where the tile and the dirt meet, but outside of where the small eye tentacles spawn, and then a second ring further out from that. So you can't see some of these guys behind them, but like over here you can see the third ring. The third ring's kind of close to the pillars up against the wall. So that's kind of your reference. You're either in melee, or you're just outside the dirt, or you're out far by the pillars on the outside of the room. And yeah, you can see this bear is Ampy absolutely rips into this guy. Like he gets confused, stands in a bad spot, then realizes where he's supposed to go, and like runs all the way over there, like creating a ton of risk at the same time. Don't do that. Don't do that. So this is actually a good example because they're not running world buffs, right? So they cannot get that again. They don't have enough damage to push the boss into phase 2 during one dark glare. So you can see he'll actually call for specific people to run 360. So the boss is spinning counterclockwise in this case. He knows that he's not going to be able to go 360, right? He'll get stuck behind the I-beam. So he's staying over here and he's telling the same people, the people over here, the same thing. The folks that were on, I'm going to back it up again. The folks that were on the far side, these guys, they're running the full circle. They're going all the way around.
Is it better to cut close to the boss or stay outside the black circle?
I would. There's no reason you couldn't go closer. I would cut the corner a little bit to help save time so you can be doing damage and casting and stuff.
Yeah, as long as you don't enter as a model, you can be as close as you want. And close means a smaller radius of circle, which means you travel faster, which means you have better uptime. So it's better to be close.
Find a
So
nice little
here,
square on the ground. See how he's like in a square that's memorable, or like a
yeah,
part of the
pick a
back.
pick a
Find
spot.
something noticeable.
So based on his positioning, he didn't need to go 360. He's back in his spot. There's a DBM or Bigwix timer that tells you when dark glare ends. He's back in position with 2 seconds to go. Half the rate is not yet, so still incredible risk here. We want to be a little tighter than that. They've still got 41% of the boss left to kill. More than likely he'll be dead for us, or the eye will be popped anyway. So there you go. Right after it ends, First I-beam starting to be casted. People are still moving into position. The guy who was actually targeted was still moving into position.
I was just wondering if you think it's safer to do, half the group running 360 back to position, or like both halves of the room doing 180-degree rotations.
Yeah,
instead?
I thought about it. I think I'd prefer to just have one group moving 360 and the other, so that people are only thinking about one. I've got one spot. This is my spot for the whole raid, rather than trying to figure out what is my position if I spin 180. You know what I mean? Am I in the right slice of the pizza or whatever? I just want people to be thinking about one spot. That's their spot for the encounter.
It's also better for our casters if they end up on the spot that doesn't have to move. It'll help us one phase.
You just start blasting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only benefit I have to the double 180 moves is at the end of Dark Lair, everybody would be in a spaced out position at the right end of
I
right
don't
at the end
trust
of
people
Dark Lair.
being in a different
That's too
spot
many
than where they
moving parts
started.
at that point.
Yeah.
So the Cthulhu positioning is highly like you see it on your mini map, and I suggest on this fight like people zoom in on their mini map and study what part of the clock you're in, and then you're just locked into that spot. Period. If you're at 4:30 every single time, that's your spot. If you start to move that and say, well, we need to memorize two, I think that's bad. And also, if you need to, like the people that are running 180 away from the glare need to be running faster than the glare is, because they need to beat the glare and then some distance to their original spot. So they need to start moving.
All right, I just want to watch this kind of from the beginning through the end of phase one. This is what it'll likely look like for us. Okay, so the tank goes in. Thas will be with me. I'll call for the raid to come. The raid goes in. We're not using any abilities, no thorns effects, no HP5 effects. If we get dismounted by a tentacle, we're not panicking. Everyone's running to their assigned positions. Okay, tentacles are going to start popping up. If you can tank a claw tentacle, if you're in melee, all the rogues will be in melee and you can just turn and kill them. But like if you're in melee in the range group, like a hunter, you're just tanking a claw tentacle as it pops up. All ranged DPS are prioing tentacles when they come up. I'll be calling out the spawns. So now there's 5 seconds on eye tentacles. There should be a claw tentacle up somewhere. If you get knocked out of position, you're running back to your original position. If you get majorly yeeted because you got too close to Cthulhu, you're staying back. You're up against the wall and you're waiting for either the dark glare to start or basically waiting for a point when the eye beam is no longer in play. Okay, so now dark glare is starting. You're figuring out, okay, where am I in relation to the boss and in his direction of spin. This guy doesn't actually need to move. I think the eye beam's turning counterclockwise again. Yeah, so he didn't actually need to move. He probably would have been fine over there. We're popping all cooldowns. Right at the start of the dark glare, we're killing the eye tentacles that pop up because the mind flay reduces our movement speed. We need to be able to move in a circle depending on which side of Cthulhu you're on, and we are absolutely zugging the boss. So that's what's going to happen for us more than likely. So they still have where is it? They still have 10 seconds on dark glare. Make it 8, and they pop the eye. So that's the end of phase one. That's what it's going to look like for us more than likely. It's gonna feel pretty quick. Once we're moving into phase two, he no longer casts eye beam. So all that like anxiety about positioning and making sure you're safe and 10 yards apart from each other, no longer a risk from this point forward. We pop the eye. He armors up, kind of like Baru in AQ20, and he takes like 99% reduced damage. Now, giant tentacles start spawning. It's giant claw tentacles and giant eye tentacles. We want those to spawn basically on the raid. So we don't want to have like this big loose spread where tentacles are popping up in a position where we're not prepared to deal with them. So we're all going to run back towards the entrance of Cthulhu's room, just like these guys are. I think they get punted right away. You can have a looser spread than this. I don't know why they're so tight. Because like that could have popped up right in the middle and everyone gets punted. The giant tentacles are scary, both the claw and the eyes. So the claws absolutely smack. So like DPS warriors and rogues, where you're ignoring threat on Cthulhu, you really have to pay attention to what's going on with these giant claw tentacles. They will kill you. So don't be overly aggressive about trying to burn these down. We'll have tanks assigned to like sections probably left, middle and right of this area so that people are, close and able to pick up these giant claw tentacles as quickly as possible. The other thing that'll be spawning is the same small eye tentacles will be spawning in that black circle still. Those will be priority for ranged DPS and especially hunters, because we don't want melee running all the way to the other side of the boss. We want people with long range abilities picking those off quickly. I'll put out another diagram, but like where this hunter is, that's perfect. We want the hunters and like ranged DPS kind of on the fringe, and then like tanks and healers kind of more in the middle. While we're waiting for tentacles to pop up, we can keep doing DPS on the boss, but it does essentially nothing because it's, like I said, 99% reduced damage. Okay, giant eye tentacle coming up here. These are super scary. That's what it looks like. One of the things I'll be asking for people to do is make sure you can have your camera zoom max increase so that you can zoom out and see what tentacles are what. These guys use, one of the things they do is basically a Cthulhu's eye beam. It's the exact same ability. So keep in mind, like the level of danger here with these guys is quite high, and they will be our top priority kill target. The difference between them and Cthulhu is they can be stunned and their eye beam can be interrupted. So mages will be on hard prio for counter spells. Rogues are stun locking and kicking. Warriors are pummeling. Everyone's looking to stun and kick these guys by any means possible. Because we need to group up to force them to spawn in a place that we can deal with them, there's a lot of risk of an eye beam going out. I don't see a lot of wipe videos in this phase, probably because it's pretty easy to kick them. But like if an eye beam goes out and no one kicks for some reason, or stuns or counter spells, like a bunch of people are gonna die. So really important to, like, those giant eye tentacles need to be kicked, stunned, and killed immediately.
Do we need to do
Have
that?
a cast timer? Do you know how long the cast time is?
I think it's a 2-second cast timer.
They look
I
pretty
believe it's 2
squishy,
seconds.
at least, right? I mean,
They die pretty quick. Yeah.
yeah.
Can I say something?
No. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have the little ring of little tentacles spawn. The melee are going to kill the ones close to us, and the ranged are going to ignore the ones close to us and kill the ones at the back. Because what we don't want is some warrior or rogue running all the way to the far side, because the big tentacles will always spawn underneath or in close proximity to a player. So this is why we're all grouping up in a tight region, so that the big eye laser will always spawn in a place we can get it. A really scary situation is a rogue runs over to kill one of the little eye tentacles, and then the big eye tentacle spawns near him, and we don't have enough to kill it. So ranged are prioing the ones in the back so that we don't get a bad eye tentacle.
Sorry.
What do you mean with the ones in the back? Sorry, I didn't get that positioning.
Okay,
So if you remember the small eye tentacles, same as in phase 1, they always spawn in a circle on the rim of this black smoky circle. Even in phase 2 when we're over here, so like there will be small eye tentacles spawning behind the boss. We don't, melee DPS are ignoring those. Hunters and mages primarily are finishing those off. So like I think there were hunters on either side. They're in perfect position to pick off those eye tentacles they're far away. We don't want anyone leaving kind of this rough area, because if a giant eye tentacle, the ones that have eye beams, spawn on a random player and it happens to be, the knucklehead that ran off to the opposite side of the boss, then it's extremely harder for us to get a kickoff and deal with that giant eye tentacle. So everyone's staying tight ish, and ranged DPS hunters on the side are killing the small eye tentacles in the back that spawn in a circle around the boss.
Right. Got it. Yeah.
Quick point on this. The timer here matters. See, it says giant eye tentacle, 44 seconds left. At that point, it's a little safer for the range that have the responsibility of killing the ones in the back to push up a little bit and get those down. And when those timers are going off, then you need to come back towards the front. Like everybody needs to be towards the front when timers go off, and after those timers go off, that is the room where you can move forward and kill the ones that are mind flaying the whole raid.
They should be able
Okay,
to
so
reach it without being in a dangerous position, regardless of timer.
yeah, I think hunters will be able to pick them off pretty easily. Okay, so 95% of the raid is basically dealing with the tentacles up top as they pop up, and DPSing the boss as you can. Again, the boss takes, while his eye is armored, takes massively reduced damage. So not a lot's happening. The main priority is killing the tentacles. Let me back this up. Oops. Periodically, oh, there it is. There's a third tentacle type. This is the one that will basically eat a raider and put him down into Cthulhu's belly. That's that one right there. So he just ate somebody. Let me switch videos here.
Does it always choose that person? Is it like a target ability or whoever's closest? Like
I think it's just
Random.
random. Yeah, it's just random.
Okay.
So after that tentacle consumes you, you get spit out into Cthulhu's stomach. The only way to push Cthulhu into the next phase is to kill these two tentacles. There's two in the belly. So once you get spit at, down into the belly, and it'll probably be, 2 to 4 at a time, you run to one of the islands. If you're melee, you run to the center island. If you're ranged, you run to either right or left island. We're always killing the right tentacle first, and we can kill that one freely. We want to wait and kill the second one on the left strategically at a time when there are no tentacles left up top. So one of the things that'll be happening is, let's see, I don't see it on the screen. DBM, Bigwigs doesn't have it, but DBM has a little table that will tell you the health that each tentacle has and the players that are down in the stomach. So Thas, I think, runs DBM. He'll be helping me monitor this. When you get 5 stacks of the debuff that are down here that you get while you're in the belly, you're moving out. You can flex a little bit in either direction depending on who's down there. So if you have a healer down there and he or she's keeping you pretty topped up, you can push it a little bit. But if there's no healer down, I wouldn't stay past 5 stacks, and I would give yourself plenty of runway to get out. And how you get out, so again, you end up in the stomach, you're killing the tentacle, you're monitoring your stacks. If 5 stacks are towards, 2/3 to half health, you start making your way out. You stand on the middle of this sphincter looking thing. This is Cthulhu's belly elevator. When you stand on it, it'll start to bubble, and then it shoots you straight up in the air, which is what's about to happen. Really important. Cthulhu's stomach is huge. You need to be on the center of this. It will shoot you straight up if you're on the center. If you're on the sides, it will shoot you out at an angle, and you won't go up the hole that you're supposed to, and you'll end up taking lethal fall damage. So, like, if for some reason that happens, you'll need to petri or lip, or you're gonna die. So you're always going on the elevator when there's no bubbles. So if someone beats you to it and there's already a bubble starting, you wait. You don't do. I think that guy was about to go. You wait until they clear, and now you can go on and stand in the very center of it as the stacks build and get out.
What happens if you just ignore these mobs and leave the stomach? Is there like a reasoning why they need to die?
So the
Like,
two
invulnerable?
tentacles, we need to kill them both in order to. Right now, he's all armored up. Cthulhu up top, he's taking 99% damage, or reduced damage. The only way that goes away is if you kill these two tentacles, and then that pushes him into his weakened state where we can realistically kill him. This is how we kind of phase the boss: is kill the two tentacles. I should say tanks, so it'll be like can't wait, Zug Zuggerton, Liler. If you end up down here, I just want you to jump right out because you'll have a tanking assignment, and I want you picking up giant clawed tentacles.
And then does that go for healers too? Like if only like you only need one healer down there, I assume.
Yeah, if there's multiple, I would if you whoever's the first healer down there would should just leave if a second healer shows up.
Kill the guys.
So let's catch this up.
What how many stacks can we survive in there?
5 is when I want you to get out. It's not like you'll die immediately, but 5 is kind of roughly the number you should be looking
You
at.
can't
If you
petri
have-
the stack damage either. Just a heads
Yeah,
up.
thank you. Yeah, if you petri down there, you will still die. So you do need to get out. But if you
I'm
have a healer
assuming
down
it's
there and you're
nature.
feeling pretty cozy, you can keep DPSing.
Is this the most healing intense part of the fight?
No, there is no healing intense part of the fight.
Yeah, I don't really think so. Yeah.
Because I
When you're in
noticed
this stomach, is
there was-
that nature damage?
Yes. It's 150 nature damage per tick per stack.
Okay, so here's what the DBM table looks like if you can see my mouse. So right now there's one dude down there. He's got 2 stacks. They've already killed one tentacle, and they've got the second down to 32%. I want the raid to stop at 15%. Okay, so you're free to burn the tentacle, but we're stopping at 15%, and we want to wait
Second or
until.
first?
What's that?
The second eye or the first
The
eye?
second. The second. You can kill
Oh,
the
tentacle.
the flesh tentacle in the belly. You can kill the first one freely. The second one needs to die at the right time. So the one on the right, you kill immediately. The one on the left, you burn to 15% and wait for the call to kill it. So they probably will kill this eye tentacle. I'm looking at they've got really long, a lot of time left on their other cooldowns. So no giant eye for 50 seconds, no small eye tentacles for 20 seconds. They probably finish this off and try to push the second belly tentacle to weaken the boss. Let's see if they do it. They're going to wait. So they must have had a call to go out to wait. So they're going to wait because eye tentacles are coming. So whoever's down there is not actively doing much damage. So they're going to kill these tentacles and then probably push after that. You don't want to waste the weaken phase, so that's why you're... Yeah, so they killed the tentacle inside and the one up above kind of roughly at the same time. The boss turns this kind of purple, and now he doesn't do anything. He just stands there for... Let me check my notes. Yeah, it's 45 seconds. He's weakened for 45 seconds. No damage is going out on the raid. It's basically everybody's just pumping the boss as hard as possible. Whatever cooldowns are off CD, you're using them. So warriors, you probably have Death Wish backup. Even healers, at the very least, should be wanding. Priests, if you have extra mana, I definitely would throw some smites. If you're in the belly at this point, like if you were the person that killed the last belly tentacle, you need to get out. If you're in there while Cthulhu dies, you die as well. So always make sure you're not in the belly. Yeah, it looks like someone just got out. They went flying there. This should be easy. The tighter kill window is actually trying to push him out of phase 1 during the dark glare. We should one phase the second phase when he's weakened without issue. If for some reason we don't, you rinse and repeat. You got to kill the 2 belly tentacles again, weaken him again, and then finish him off.
That's not bad.
That's the fight. I
What
want to
happens
do...
if at the end, when we are about to kill, just when he's weak, there is people still inside the stomach? Are we gonna let that person die, or are we gonna stop? What?
They have to get out.
No, they got to get out.
Definitely
Yeah, they
not
got to
gonna
get
let
out.
them die.
Don't let them die. If for some reason we, it is good that there's awareness of that though. If for some reason we do not finish him off in the first weaken phase, it's very likely that when the second weaken phase starts, he's low health and will die quickly. So that means we need to not kill the boss and allow time for whoever kills the last belly tentacle to get out. And I'll call that out, but just keep in mind you're not like instantly killing the boss after he's weakened. We need to allow time for people to get out.
You could see before too, like he gets weakened and at the same time someone gets sent down. So they might need like a couple extra seconds too. Like it was a mage and a priest that went down before this weakened phase that you're showing right now. And then as it went weakened, a warrior got sent down. So
Yeah, and remember they need to time getting out safely. Like they can't just rush the stomach elevator. They need to get out when there's no bubbles and make sure they're sitting in the right spot. So like whoever was down there didn't get out until the boss was, nearly half dead. That guy comes flying out.
Do the tentacles inside Cthulhu attack as well, or they just sort of stand there?
I think they do. I don't think they hit super hard. I'm not actually 100% sure. The main risk is the stomach acid.
They hit pretty hard. If you're a warrior and there's no healer inside, you could get killed in 8 seconds.
I don't think it's that fast. I don't know fast or can't wait if you...
Sorry, say the question again.
How hard do the tentacles in the stomach hit melee. Like
You
if you're a
can
rogue.
DPS as a solo warrior for a couple of seconds without a heal, but you
Yeah,
need
a
to be.
solo warrior is fine. And a rogue is fine. You can pop evasion, but I wouldn't tank it as a rogue without evasion.
Okay.
The main thing is you need to plan out how long it's going to take me to walk to the platform and then get ejected because I'm taking damage that whole time. Also, you need to plan if someone's moving a few seconds ahead of me, they're going to move to the platform. I have to wait for the animation to finish and then get on the platform because if you enter late, then you're going to get yeeted to your death. So only one person at a time takes the elevator, or two people if they are perfectly synchronized.
Do we have any Sorry, real quick. Do we have any warlocks who have 5-piece tier 2?
I don't know.
Because I just saw a warlock in org, and I asked them 5-piece tier 2 warlock set puts a buff on your pet that renews every 3 seconds, increasing its resistances. And if your pet is not on passive, that will put you on the threat table.
Okay, we'll just go no warlock pets, no hunter pets, and then I don't care if warlocks summon pets once the fight starts, but we'll just go no warlock pets until they get in position.
Be a chat and sack that shit anyways.
I have a question on the inside and the stomach. You talked about the range standing on like the side islands, but the video you were showing, it looks like the warlock was standing in between the two tentacles. I'm not sure if that was a safe zone or not.
Yeah, you can stand on the island and not get hit.
Okay.
Yeah, you could stand back here, where my mouse is, or you could stand over here if you're melee or there.
So the green is like lava, basically, right?
I think you're taking damage no matter what. I don't actually know if
Yeah,
the green causes extra damage.
it slows you down.
Got it. But
That's
it's not
like
like
even if you're
lobby
on the
jumping.
island, you're building stacks of stomach acids.
Yeah.
Like this person's up to 8.
DPS on the tentacles do matter. So if you're one of the first warriors in that stomach, go to the right tentacle and start DPSing that thing. And I think the call is to, like Zeus said, we're killing the right one, and then the left one is what we really need to communicate about. We're not pushing the left tentacle because when the tentacles die, that starts the weaken phase, and we want to sync that up with the tentacle spawn timer. So big communication if you're in the stomach and you see what's going on. People are trying new weak auras too. So unmute yourself and say this tentacle is at this percentage. Obviously don't clear comms, but that's important for sure.
Yeah, we're killing right. We're taking left down to 15%, and then waiting for a call to kill it. I want to do one more run through, and I'm just gonna try not to pause it too much, but add high level commentary. So tank's been pre-bubbled. We've made sure we're full mana, full health. No abilities are being used from this point forward. We're not panicking if we get knocked back, dismounted by a tentacle. Looks like in this run they did not. That's actually best case. Every run locations, no abilities are being used. We're waiting for the call. You can see no one's using anything yet. Call goes out. You can start burning the boss. Ranged are prioritizing any tentacles that spawn, both the little eye tentacles in the circle around the boss, but also the claw tentacles. If you can tank a claw tentacle for a little bit, please do so it doesn't submerge. So that's like hunters, warlocks, whatever melee are not assigned to be right next to the boss in melee range because we only get 6 stacks. You're tanking those tentacles rather than forcing them to submerge. Dark Lair starts to cast. Everyone's looking to see, okay, which direction is the boss facing? You want to be 90 degrees, clear of that. First prio outside of getting to a safe spot on the Dark Lair cast is killing these eye tentacles. Mind Flay slows us down. We need to be running in a circle. We're figuring out which way the eye is spinning. Yeah, go ahead.
When the healer that we have the POV of got knocked back, was that from that small eye tentacle popping up? Because he wasn't.
Yeah, all the tentacles will knock you back, not just claws, all of them.
Got it. He just didn't look like he was even close to it, but okay.
But none of them one shot you, right? They'll just kind of just bump you up.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're getting a read on where the Dark Lair is going. Okay, it's getting closer to me. All right, for this person. That means I need to move 360 around the boss. If it's getting further from me on spawn, I'm probably fine in the initial location. I just need to be well clear of it. And if you are close to where the dark glare is pointing initially, everyone's prepared to petri if they get knocked towards the glare by a tentacle. During the dark glare, we're popping all CDs, wreck, on-use trinkets, death wish, burning the boss as hard as possible, pushing them into the next phase like these guys do. Oh, they didn't. Never mind. Different video. So here's an example of they did not push them into the next phase before the dark glare ended, so they needed to have their positioning set again for the eye beams to start going out. Can't see a health on. Okay, so they're almost done now.
That mind
We'll
flay
finish.
is interruptible, correct?
I think
so.
so. Yeah, they're pretty
Okay.
squishy. Honestly, you'll kill
Yeah.
it. You can just kill them. Yeah. Okay, so they
Oh,
pop the eye. Cthulhu throws his armor up. Everyone's moving back towards the entrance. Tanks are moving to their assigned spots, left, middle, center, or excuse me, left, middle, right, and aiming to pick up giant claw tentacles. Hunters, mages are towards the perimeter and kind of closer to Cthulhu, staying ready to pick up and kill the small eye tentacles that spawn in a circle around Cthulhu. Everyone is hyper focused on the giant eye tentacles. Those are the ones that do the eye beam. Everyone is looking to stun those, kick those. Like even resto shamans, like if you can get a rank 1 earth shock off, send it. You should probably have that macroed in with a cancel cast so you can get it off. So that was right there, a giant eye tentacle that came out. Those are on a timer, so we'll be able to call it out, and I'll be able to say like, hey, 5 seconds until a giant eye. Everyone be prepared to kick, stun, kill, giant eye. There'll be 2 to 4 people down in the belly while this is happening. They're killing the right tentacle first. They're burning the left tentacle down to 15% and waiting for a kill call. If you're a squishy, you're not tanking these unless you have evasion up, which you should, because I can't think of another use for it in this encounter. Warriors, you can probably tank it for a bit. Once you're at around 5 stacks, you're monitoring how much damage you're taking and probably getting out before too long. If you need to get out, you're moving onto the elevator and standing at the very center on the sphincter. Once the bubbles start, don't try and get onto the elevator. You're too late at that point. You need to wait for them to clear. If for some reason you're not in the center of the elevator when it launches you, you'll go sideways. You're petrying to avoid fall damage, and then making your way back towards the elevator again. Once we've cleared the deck of big tentacles and we have the second tentacle sufficiently low, we'll call for that tentacle to be killed, and Cthulhu will be pushed into his weakened state. I think they do that here shortly. They wait a little bit to clear the deck again. Okay, Cthulhu's weakened. We start murdering the boss. If for some reason this takes more than one phase, on the second phase, we're allowing time for the people in the belly to get out. If you're in the belly and we're part of the crew that finished off the last tentacle, you're getting out before the boss dies, or you will die too. Everyone's burning the boss. Healers are wanding. If you've got mana, you're smiting. He should die in 1 weakened phase.
Yeah, full DPS healers. Don't wand. Go ham. You should have no mana issues on this fight. When he's weakened, you do full DPS as a healer.
That's all I got.
Speaking of healers, question about shamans and totems. As I imagine totems and chain lightning are a bad. So is
I do not think the
interrupt
totems
at
chain,
all?
but I guess I would be
Oh, okay.
interested to know if others have heard otherwise. Let me see.
No, totems are fine. I've never, ever heard of a totem interacting with high beam.
Lightning shield will
Can-
instant put you in combat though, so don't do lightning shield prior to.
Can
Bunch of alliance
will
videos, I guess.
grounding totem be targeted? So like no grounding totems? I don't even know. Probably not, right?
Yeah, that
Ooh, I
question
don't
came
know
up
about
earlier.
grounding.
I don't know about grounding.
I probably just wouldn't use it at all.
Just don't
'cause
use
it
them.
Takes
Yeah.
wind fear. Yeah. Okay.
The mind flay is not that bad, so from the small eyes, we'll just kill him quick. No grounding, but wind fury is fine.
Do you have control over your trajectory coming out of the stomach?
No.
I'm not sure.
So it's possible, like, someone goes way in the back of the room. Mages should be ready to blink and CS it if the eye tentacle spawns on them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good call.
We got to coordinate with mages because we don't want like all mages counterspelling the same one. What's the timer between the big eyes? Is it like more than 30 seconds?
It's
I
pretty
think it's like
long.
40
Let
or
me see
50.
if I wrote it down.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think it's like
40.
40. Yeah.
40.
You have a decent amount of time.
Okay, cool. Everybody kick.
It
Another thing
seems
that's the
like
difference between what we're doing and a lot of these videos is Alliance is cracked with Hodge. Those
Yeah, they're
tentacles come up,
hodging
they
it.
Hodge it. It's 6 seconds hard CC. You don't even see what's going on with the damn things. So we're not going to have that. All rogues need to be immediately kidneying this thing, and all warriors need to be sundering first global to get it down as fast as possible. There's going to be warriors displaced everywhere. If 3 of you say I don't need to sunder this mob, just sunder the damn mob. Probably demo shot it too, but those need to be CC'd, need to be sundered immediately. We have to kill those, and kicks, kidneys has to happen constantly. And also the big claw tentacles, all tanks just hit taunt on those to make sure, because they build up a big thrash ability, and our taunts are going to be up every single time a big claw tentacle comes up. So I think all tanks need to rotate to that and press taunt, just in case kidneys are falling off or something like that. The tanks actually get the autos because they can hit super hard.
Are
We
tanks
definitely
shielding
want
on those,
improved
or
demo. You can, yeah. I think that's fine in phase 2. I don't want you in a shield like for the whole fight, but you could switch to a shield for sure in phase 2. If you're assigned to tank the giant claw tentacles, we do want, if you have improved demo, you should be thinking that you're using that on every giant claw that comes up.
Instead of Hodge, could you get like a frame 1 intercept from warriors on them? Or do you not want to get the DR started on stun for the kidney? Or
I've seen in some videos they say don't do that because we don't want to DR. If he's casting, I don't care if you intercept because it's going to interrupt the it's going to interrupt the cast. I'm more worried about kicks. Like if we think about like most dangerous parts of the fight, like peak danger, running in, which is silly, but the run in is peak danger. Then it's I beam in phase 1, and then it's I beam from the giant eye tentacles in phase 2. So like, got to get kicks off. Got to stun those giant eye tentacles and kill them, and stay grouped in a way that they spawn in a position that we can deal with them. They die pretty quick, so like they should die quick. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. But if for some reason, the 20 people in raid, 25 people in raid that have a kick, whether that's Earthshock, kick, pummel, counterspell, like if for some reason one of those doesn't go off, it's a wipe.
and don't underestimate the stomach damage.
Yeah, don't underestimate the stomach damage. Yeah.
Speaking of, I assume resist potions are going in with shadow resist up, nature resist up, and then we save a nature resist for stomach.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll walk in with GSPP, GMPP up. We'll wait for pot CDs to be off, and then yeah, you can use whatever pot makes sense depending on what's going on with you
And
at that point.
Do we want to do a magic resist potion like we do Stone Shield for
no.
Sartor 2 or no? I know it
Um,
doesn't stack with Mark of the Wild, but it's still an additional however much nature is, right?
no, it's not worth it.
Okay.
Get an
Clanka,
extra 15.
in terms of your question of do you pop a potion in the stomach, DPS should, as healers, like always, it's negative expected value to use a resistance potion over a mana potion. You can just take more damage and heal it and still have mana left over if you take a mana potion. So you should use, like, save your cooldown, use the resistance potion if you need to save your life. But in general, you should be saving your cooldown for mana.
Yeah, it just, if it wasn't a very mana intensive fight, I just wanted to know what the options would be.
It won't be. Like if something goes wrong, people are just instantly dead. It's not like if something goes wrong, everyone takes a bunch of damage and we have to heal it. Things are under control and we do very little, or things are not under control and people are just dead.
Gotcha. And I guess speaking of potions, reminder that we do still need to do the trash, and that means we need melees bringing lots of greater stone shields. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, lots of greater stone shield. One thing I forgot to mention, warriors, if you are pushed down into the stomach, for whatever reason, that very odd, but it wipes your current stance. So you won't be in battle stance, defensive stance, berserker stance. You just have no stance. So you'll have to re-engage a stance in order to use abilities. So just keep that in mind. Really weird.
While you're in the stomach, doing your thing, it's probably beneficial just to sit in battle stance. And there's going to be a lot of warriors too who aren't in the stomach or aren't really dealing with the nature damage. And if for whatever reason they could have their pot CD up for MRP during the weekend phase, that could be extremely valuable too.
Of course. I gotta go. I've been the last stages of making spaghetti here. Feel free to DM me or at me in the Raid 1 channel for any question. From now until tomorrow, I'll be happy to talk with anyone. And even if you want like a full explanation again from start to finish, I'm happy to do that. I'd rather people ask questions than not. Okay.
I'm
So
gonna
hit me up.
I'll be
well, I was just
I'll
gonna say
be
I'm gonna want an explanation on how many stages of spaghetti you have.
I'll be meeting with there's a few people who couldn't attend today that I'm meeting with tomorrow. I need to set